Welcome to the Classic and Vintage series, where we take old blocks and make them new. Today we're working with the Ocean Waves block, and I'm going to simplify it for you by using triangle paper, so it's going to come together just like a breeze. We're using Minnick & Simpson's collection called Northport, and we selected it since it's got lots of blues and it's going to give you a really scrappy effect. And this is a free block pattern. You can get it in the description box below. And if you want to turn this block into a crib, lap, twin, or queen, you can purchase a lowest price pattern at Fat Quarter Shop. So let's get started. Today I'm going to show you how to make this block just using two fabrics. You're going to download your free pattern and you're going to cut some rectangles. You're going to take your fabric A and fabric B and put them right side together. That's the most important part of this step, and you want to make sure everything is ironed and pressed before you start. Then you're going to take a 2.5 inch finished triangles on a roll paper. It's my favorite brand, and we're going to cut a section that's 2 by 3. You'll want to cut directly on that line where it's really nice and clean, because that does matter. And then what you can do is just set this aside. If you don't want your paper to roll around, you can just close it with washi tape. You put your fabrics right side together and put your paper on top. And remember, everything nice and flat. I'm going to put some pins in all 3 layers, and I'm not going to pin near the lines. So I'm just going to put a couple pins in, keeping it nice and flat. And then I'm going to use Aurifil Color 2000, and we're going to go to the sewing machine, use an open toe foot so you can see where your needle is going. You're going to stitch on the dotted lines using a 1.5 stitch length and a size 80 needle. So when you're stitching, you want to stitch directly on the line, not to the left, not to the right, so you get perfectly accurate triangles. If you keep your needle in the needle down position, you can just pivot and keep going. Okay, now that I've done sewing, I'm just going to make sure that I have covered all of the lines. And when I'm stitching on the dotted lines, I kind of just go in whatever direction. I don't really plan that out ahead of time. So now we have everything stitched. You'll just remove your pins, and then we're going to cut on the solid lines. I like to cut all the way on the outside edges first, and again, right on the line will give you nice triangles. And using a rotating mat is totally optional, but sometimes it can help you on the next step. I like to take my time when I'm doing this so that I cut really nice and straight. I don't go too fast. So now what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to cut here in the center. I'm going to do that first. And then I'm going to try to move my ruler where I don't move the paper, and then I can keep cutting. Now if your paper moves, then you'll need to just cut individually one at a time at this point. But this sometimes will save me a little bit of time. And see, that moved, so I'm just going to put it right back together, make sure it's a straight line. And this gives us 6 squares, and that is going to give us 12 triangles. So now once I have that cut, I'm going to cut the diagonal lines. Now the diagonal lines is your seam allowance, so you don't have to be as accurate because it's going to be hidden, but you will want it to be a general 1/4 inch, but these lines don't matter as much. And then what I'm going to do is oops, I missed one. I like to fold my paper back, get it creased, and then I put my little thumb right on the tip and just pull, and the paper should come right off. If you don't crease it, it'll still come off. It just won't be as smooth. So totally up to you how you want to pull the paper off, but having a shorter stitch length is what is going to let that paper come right off. And Triangles on a Roll has a really nice thin paper. Sometimes if you have triangle paper that the paper is actually too thick, it's going to be hard to pull off. So you're going to pull all of these papers off, and then we are going to move to pressing. So here what I like to do is just have my triangles nice and flat and set the seam. And that just means really nice and flat. Pressing that down, what that does is it really locks your stitches in. And then we're going to be pressing these open. I like to press open a little bit different than most people. What I like to do first is press to one side. And I'm going to do all 12. I'm going to stack them on top of each other because that gets all of the seams really nice and flat. And when I'm pressing, I'm putting the very edge of my iron right on that seam so that I don't get a duck pleat. A duck pleat looks like this. I'll show you. A duck pleat looks like this, where your seam is not all the way pressed open. So I don't like that. So I'm going to do all 12 first to one side. That kind of lets it cool off before I press open. So kind of like ironing them in stacks, it just gets the seams below it nice and flatter. And you'll notice when I iron, I don't rock my iron, I just iron nice and flat. Then I'm going to go to the stack that I did first, which are less hot because I tend to burn myself on this. And what you can do is just finger press this open. Once you get it nice and flat with your fingers, then run your iron over it. And then I'm going to set those to the side. And we're pressing the seams open on this block because there are so many intersections when you start putting the blocks together into your quilt. And so the top will lay nice and flat. And then once you're done, we're going to clip off the little dog ears. So you're not going to cut into the front at all. You're just going to cut these little edges off on all 12 of your triangles. So unfortunately on this, I don't really have any time-saving tricks for you. I just say do it all at one time and get it over with because it's not so fun to do this, I know. So just chop, 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 and then we can put the block together. Nice sharp scissors help. Now we have all 12 of our triangles and we're going to start laying out and making our unit. Now in our example, we're just using one fabric, and if you're going to make this into a quilt following our pattern, you would make this scrappy, but we're going to simplify and just do this. So our first unit is going to be put together this way. We're going to put our units, first I like to lay them out and just make sure that they're laid out correctly, and then I'm going to put them right sides together, and I'm going to put a couple pins in, and then we're going to go to the sewing machine and we're going to turn this into a unit. We're going to be using a 1/4 inch seam, and we're going to chain piece these together so that when we come back they stay in the same order. So we're just going to chain piece all the way down using a 1/4 inch seam. So I've changed to a 1/4 inch foot, and I'm just going to stitch. Now when I start stitching, I'm going to change my stitch length to a 2.0. I'm going to chain piece in between each. Keep sewing. And you'll notice when you pin, you want this to be really nice and square on the end. And you can see our pieces are still together, so we're going to go iron. So now we are going to keep these together, set my seams, and then we're going to press open. So I'm going to just press both to the same side first and let that sit. And you can see that this is chain pieced together, so everything stays in place like it should be. Now I'm going to flip this over, finger press both of these open, and they should stay. Since it's hot, they'll probably stay, but just press over it one more time. Everything's nice and flat. And now we're going to, at this point, cut them apart, and I'm going to give you a pinning tip. So I kept those together just so that everything would stay together. And if you're looking at your pattern, it's really this way. And I'm going to take a pin. First, I'm going to put these right side together. I'm going to put a pin right in the intersection where the point is. I call it poke a pin. Put it right in that intersection. And then I'm going to put that same pin in the second intersection, second point. I'm going to make it nice and flat, and I'm going to put a pin on each side to keep it in place. And then I'm going to pin at this intersection and at the beginning, and we are going to go stitch down this with a 1/4 inch seam. So again, I'm going to set my seam, press to one side. I like to finger press that down first. Turn it over, and then we're going to pull this open and press this open. You're going to make 2 of these units, and this is your ocean unit. So we're halfway done. We're going to keep building our block. We're going to take a fabric C rectangle, a fabric D square, and a 1/2 square triangle. Now you want to really look at your pattern and make sure that they're going the correct direction. We're going to stitch this with a 1/4 inch seam and press, and again, this whole block is pressed open. You're going to use the techniques we already did, and then you're going to sew the C to the bottom part, and this is what your unit will look like. This is your top wave unit, and you're going to make 1. Now we're going to move to our bottom wave unit. You're going to lay your units out. These are your 1/2 square triangles. Make sure they're going the correct direction, and we'll be adding a fabric D square. So you're going to stitch these together with a 1/4 inch seam, stitch these together with a 1/4 inch seam, stop and press, use those same techniques we used in the very beginning, and then you're going to sew this together. And again, when you're sewing this together, this final line, you're going to use poke a pin method so that all your seams nest, and this is going to be your bottom wave unit, and you're going to make 1. Now we're going to put together all our units. So you're going to take your ocean units that we made in the very beginning. Just follow your pattern for your half square triangle placement. Then we're going to put our top wave unit and our bottom wave unit, and all of our half square triangles are going the same direction. Everything is nice and pressed open. And then at this point, we're going to put these together and these together, and we're going to stitch down that line. And when you're doing that, you're going to want to pin just like we did in the first step. So you're going to put a polka pin there and a polka pin here, pin everything, go to your sewing machine. Once those are together, you're going to stitch this together, and again, polka pin. You're going to put a pin, a pin, a pin, and all your seams are going to come out perfectly. And here is your Ocean Wave block. It is nice and beautiful, and remember, this is a free pattern, and if you would like to make it into a bigger size, we have a low price pattern available at Fat Quarter Shop. We would love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you next week.